All right, let's dive right into this explainer on Fedrick Consulting's really unique problem-first methodology. Look, if you're an early to mid-stage business owner and you're feeling stuck, scattered, or just completely overwhelmed by that day-to-day grind, well, this explainer is built exactly for you. We're going to break down how you can finally stop treating the endless symptoms of your business problems and actually start fixing the root causes.
Now, I want to kick things off by asking a question that honestly plagues almost every single entrepreneur at some point. Why do so many incredibly hardworking business owners just fail to grow? I mean, we're talking about people putting in 80-hour weeks, trying every single new marketing tactic out there, giving it their absolute all, and yet they feel like they're just spinning their wheels in the mud.
Well, the answer lies in a pretty simple but harsh truth. You simply cannot outwork a broken model. All that hard work, it just cannot fix poor positioning. It definitely can't fix an offer that your customers literally don't understand, and it for sure cannot fix a fundamentally misaligned business. Think of it this way. If you are running in the totally wrong direction, running faster isn't going to help you get to the destination any sooner.
Section 1. Forged in Fire, the crucible behind the framework.
To really understand the antidote to all that entrepreneurial exhaustion, we've got to look at the founder of this methodology, Matthew Fedrick. And his journey here is anything but typical. He went from being a combat-decorated Marine with 3 tours in the Middle East to navigating some really severe adversity, dealing with PTSD and a traumatic brain injury during his transition back to civilian life. But he ultimately rebuilt himself through retail leadership, eventually co-founding a highly successful housekeeping business with his wife. And what he learned across all of these incredibly intense arenas is that in high-stakes environments, clarity and consistency, they aren't just corporate buzzwords, they are literal survival mechanisms.
This intense background forged a philosophy heavily influenced by what he calls the Stoic entrepreneur. It's basically a massive emphasis on deep discipline over fleeting emotion. And why does that matter? Because in business, fear delays action, right? And excitement, well, that just creates impulsive decisions. The Stoic entrepreneur really focuses on the actions, not those external outcomes, making sure that your execution stays completely steady over time, no matter what the market happens to be doing.
Moving into Section 2, the Clarity First philosophy, diagnosing the real issue.
This philosophy is basically the absolute bedrock of Fedrick's entire approach. You see, there's this massive disconnect happening in businesses every single day. Owners are constantly misdiagnosing their own struggles. They look at things and think, oh, I have a marketing problem, or I definitely have a sales problem. But the reality? Those are just the symptoms. What they're actually suffering from are foundational, root cause issues. We're talking unclear problem definition, weak positioning, and misaligned offers. It's like this: confusion kills conversion, plain and simple.
Trying to scale a business without those solid foundational principles in place? It's literally exactly like navigating a super dense forest without a compass. Sure, you might be moving incredibly fast, hacking away at the brush, putting in a massive amount of physical effort, but you completely lack direction. You are just relying on accidental momentum to get you through.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Problem Solution Operating System, the 5 pillars of PSOS.
So the really crucial point here is establishing a brand new foundation to essentially replace that broken compass we just talked about. Fedrick Consulting calls this the PSOS. These 5 pillars are specifically designed to force a business to align around reality rather than just relying on scattered ideas or chasing the latest internet trends. You've got to start with problem first, identifying a problem that's specific, frequent, frustrating, and fixable. Then comes solution alignment, where you make sure your offer actually matches that root problem. Next is value clarity, so the customer instantly understands exactly what you do. Then, model integrity ensures your business can actually deliver that value profitably. And finally, execution discipline. That's taking all that clarity and turning it into relentless, consistent action.
All right, on to Section 4, the SOLVE framework, the application tool of PSOS.
So, how do we actually do this? To bridge the gap between high-level theory and boots-on-the-ground reality, those conceptual pillars of the PSOS map directly to the actionable stages of the SOLVE methodology. Let's look at exactly what each of those letters demands from you as a business owner. Here is the exact sequence. By walking through these 5 steps, specify the problem, outline the impact, leverage a solution, validate the model, and execute with clarity and consistency, business owners can move seamlessly from diagnosing that deep pain in the market all the way to validating their business model and finally operating with a truly disciplined rhythm. But listen, we have to be incredibly careful during that very first step of specifying the problem. If we just run around treating the surface-level symptoms instead of the actual root causes,
Well, Fedrick likens it to taking pain medication for a broken bone. Sure, the pain might temporarily decrease, right? You feel a little better for a minute. But the real issue remains, and it actually often gets way worse because the fracture was never properly set.
To peel back the layers of the onion and actually find that broken bone, the system uses this brilliant tool called the 5 whys. Here's how it works. You start with a visible symptom, like, I'm not getting enough customers. Okay, ask why. Because my marketing isn't working. Why? Because people aren't responding to my offers. Well, why? Because my messaging is unclear. Why? Because I don't actually know the exact problem I solve. Boom, right there. You just hit the true foundational root cause.
And once that real root cause is uncovered, you can leverage a solution to build an absolutely razor-sharp value proposition. By plugging your validated answers into this simple formula, helping a specific who achieve a specific outcome without their common pain, you ensure that your messaging instantly connects with your target audience. You completely bypass that confusion we talked about earlier that just absolutely kills conversion.
Okay, last section, section 5, the architecture of execution, delivering value through structured systems.
So at this point, we have our problem, we have our solution, and we have our model. Now let's look at how all this high-level strategy is finally transformed into real-world delivery. Fedrick Consulting structures client delivery across a progressive service ladder. It's a very intentional journey. It moves business owners from an initial entry phase of just reading content, right up to a diagnostic clarity session, then into full strategy business model development, and all the way up to scalable execution and expansion, where they essentially act as a fractional strategy partner.
And here's the brilliant part. Every single service offered at any level of that ladder is forced to the exact same continuous SOLV flow. It absolutely guarantees measurable, repeatable results. You diagnose, you design, you validate, you execute, and then you refine. It's just a continuous loop of disciplined optimization, ensuring that the service isn't just handing out information, but is actually creating real transformation through execution.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this ultimate maxim from the source material. It says, clarity creates direction, discipline creates results. Without both, growth is accidental. So I'm going to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to chew on today. Are you currently operating with the disciplined clarity required for intentional, repeatable growth? Or are you honestly just relying on accidental momentum? Really think about that. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.